Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Chloe Latham-Sykes. I'm the Deputy Director of Policy at IDRA, and we oppose House Bill 25. IDRA is a national education nonprofit committed to ensuring that all students have equal educational opportunity for all of our youth. In addition to our work, we also run one of 4 federally funded equity assistance centers, and we manage throughout the U.S. South the largest equity assistance center to provide trainings to school districts and state education agencies that are around anti-discrimination, and that includes preventing discrimination based on gender identity. Our testimony includes 3 main concerns with this bill, and while we have very much established that there's really no evidence for the basis of this bill, there is ample evidence for the harms that this bill presents to our students. First of all, House Bill 25 makes schools unsafe for students, trans students, and creates the hostile school community for really all students in there. We've well established that students in the trans and LGBTQ community at large experience greater rates of harassment, exclusion, and bullying in schools compared to their peers. And in 2019, over 1 in 10 LGBTQ students reported being discouraged from school sports and activities, and 59% had experienced discrimination through school policies and practices based on their identities. Discriminatory legislation like this one discourages teachers and school staff from creating a welcoming and safe school environment and from implementing practices that affirm their trans students, such as utilizing their gender pronouns that are desired in the classroom. This type of practice creates a hostile environment for all students. This bill then in turn harms students' academic achievement. In Texas, about 11% of trans students are likely to drop out based on harassment. And as I mentioned, this violates federal protections against discrimination. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Sykes. Members, any questions? Representative Nalby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Doctor, for your testimony. I saw in your handout where you speak to how the legislation would make schools unsafe for students, and I think we're seeing examples of, locally at least in the DFW area, the high school, MacArthur High School in Irving, and how students walked out. Can you speak to how what's happening there ties into this legislation?
Sure, and I'm based here in Austin. I'm from the Dallas area originally, so I can't speak to the nature of the exact school community, but generally around research around safe school climates and school communities. And I think as you've heard attested by many families here, students want to affirm their peers. So students are believing in their activities, their classmates, and showing that type of solidarity is an example of students demonstrating the type of welcoming and safe community that they want in their schools, whether that is offered to them by the district officials, the state government, or any other types of official policies or not. They are demonstrating that community of love, and that really is a powerful message for safe and welcoming communities.
And if students feel safe and welcome in their schools, your organization as a education policy organization, does that help students thrive in our educational system in Texas?
Absolutely. One of the key areas that is best for student achievement, and I know this has been a big issue in light of the pandemic, we're talking about instructional loss, we're talking about missing students from schools and trying to locate them and attract them back to our schools to say this is a safe place, just physically and health-wise, right? This is also talking about the political and social and cultural and mental well-being that students can encounter and have in their schools. A safe school climate that is free from any hostility, from discrimination, from harassment from students or adults is critical to students' academic achievement. I kind of blew through some of the numbers because I know we were short on time, but trans students have experienced greater rates of dropout because of gender-based harassment and exclusion, and we are trying to make sure all of our students have access to equal educational opportunities to achieve their full potential to access college and post-secondary life. And bills like this compromise those opportunities.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sykes.
Thank you.
Representative Johnson.
You mentioned you were not able to get to some of the stuff that you were going to. Is it in the written materials that you submitted to the committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, and there's an infographic as that third attached page, which also has some up-to-date data as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.